What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about a nice little fun PvP build for y'all for the Titan, just with a lot of changes coming out for Lightfall and the sandbox. Don't want to get into anything too crazy on the PvE side just because of how much stuff is going to change. We're going to revamp some builds, but this right here is super fun exotic for the PvP realm. Doesn't get used too much, but I absolutely love it, and it pairs perfectly with the Tarrabah Exotic SMG. So starting off right here, we're going to be talking about the Sunbreaker build with Hammer of Soul and the Peacekeeper Exotic Boots. Hammers right here for that nice explosion on impact. Very good for something like Iron Banner this week with those sunspots. For our abilities, we're using Towering Barricade, Strafe Lift, Hammer Strike, and Thermite Grenade. I absolutely love Thermite Grenade on Titans. Now for me, I'm using that Consecration, so when we slide, we can activate that charged melee where we launch a nice solar wave at enemies that damages and scorches them. Very easy to do some good damage on a lot of guardians, especially if they're on a zone, and we can proc that nice scorch and solar synergy with this basically one-shot melee. Next up, we got that Soul Invictus, so those solar final ability blows, Hammer of Soul impacts, and defeating scorched targets create sunspots for us, where our abilities are going to recharge a little bit faster, and those sunspots apply scorch and deal damage to targets. So it's super nice for that damage aspect when you create it on one of those melee hits, or with your grenade, or with a super. Very easy at getting, like I said, that AoE damage effect and just wiping out guardians. Now when we move on to fragments right here, our first one is Ember of Eruption, so our solar ignitions have increased area of effects coming from those grenades and melees. Just helps us get some nice big juicy solar explosions. Next on the list right here is Ember of Combustion. Final blows with solar super cause targets to ignite, so it's just a nice chef's kiss for this build to have that super Hammer of Souls cause ignitions on those hits and defeats, so you can defeat more guardians in the area. Very easy to get that 3, 4, 5 downs with this, especially if they're clumped up. Now third in this list here, we got Ember of Searing, so when we apply Scorch to targets, it grants us melee energy, so we can use that nice Consecration a little more often with this build. And last but not least right here, we have Ember of Ashes, so you apply more Scorch stacks to targets, allowing us to create those explosions a little bit quicker and just cause more damage to our fellow guardians inside of the Crucible. Now moving on to our weapons right here, we're going to be using the Defiance of Yasmin Sniper. For me, my favorite sniper to use in the kinetic slot, and that's just what I was pairing with this build. My favorite thing to do in Destiny, snipe for sure, compared to just sitting around corners with a shotgun, stuff like that. Now on top of that, we're using the Tarrabah to pair with our Peacekeeper Exotic Boots, so when we get damage or take damage, we actually charge up the Devour of the Beast, where we can get that procced kind of similar to how the Manticore is. You can see on the left side of the screen it stack up, and then you can press and hold R, which unleashes that beast, and you absolutely annihilate guardians because it shoots super fast. So it's like the perk Cascade Point that we got this season. It's like an intrinsic perk, an exotic perk for Tarrabah, so this thing absolutely shreds, especially with pairing it with the Peacekeepers. And then for our heavy, we're going with Tomorrow's Answer, that nice tracking chain reaction void rocket with 100 blast radius. Definitely my favorite rocket to take inside of the Crucible. That isn't Galahorn, or I should say it's just my favorite legendary in general for the Crucible. Now right here, moving on to our armor and mods, we're going to be using some machine gun targeting and a sniper targeting for this build, so we can get those nice crispy boys with Defiance of Yasmin, and that nice little SMG targeting for the Tarrabah, and absolutely shred guardians like I said. Next off on our arms, I basically always have fastball on my arms inside of the Crucible. It just feels weird to me throwing grenades without it, so I always go with fastball. And we're actually going with sniper dexterity for this for 2 reasons: faster reload and snow for that sniper, so we can switch on and off of it and really get those crispy snipes. Plus the exotic boots give us higher stow and ready for the SMG, so we don't need to throw SMD dexterity on at all. Now when we move on to our chest piece right here, we got unflinching SMG, unflinching sniper again, just helping for both of our weapons because I like to use both consistently. But when we do run out of ammo, that Tarrabah takes over and absolutely eats through Guardians, hence the ravenous beast. That thing is hungry. Now moving on to our exotic boots, the Peacekeepers. So reloads stored SMGs and allows you to ready them instantly. That's why we didn't need that dexterity. It improves our handling with SMGs and movement while we're wielding it. So we absolutely zip around the map. It feels like you slide forever when you have the Tarrabah out paired with these, and you can just surprise Guardians for how fast you're coming around that corner. And with that ravenous beast proc, you're just melting them. It also provides some airborne effectiveness, but I haven't noticed too big of a difference after they kind of did those changes. Now for our mods, I'm going with sniper rifle holster, so we can pick up those bricks and load that Defiance of Yasmin without having to switch to it, since this basically has SMG holster on it because it reloads the stored SMG, plus repercussion, so when we pick up an orb of power we get health. This doesn't happen too often, but it's nice to have it on just in case. And last but certainly not least for this build right here, we got Outreach and Powerful Friends. Powerful Friends for that nice juice to mobility to have 100. So like I said, we could come sliding around those corners and totally surprise Guardians. They won't know what hit them, as well as Outreach, so we can use our class ability constantly with 100 mobility, which reduces our melee cooldown, allowing us to get that nice slide and slam with Consecration, causing that nice solar ignitions and solar juice everywhere. So it's a very fun build to take into the Crucible. 6s, 3s, whatever it may be. I have been using this a lot alongside the no backup plans with a shotgun. Kind of the same concept. No backup plans definitely gives a nice buff to those shotguns, and these Peacekeepers right here give a super great boost to that Tarrabah. And like I said, you will really notice that movement on these when you have that SMG out. You're sliding so far, and with that 100 mobility, 100 resilience, you feel like a tank out there, being able to pop your shield. Very fun build to use. So hopefully this travels with you guys for the rest of the season. Probably going to change up a Skosh with Strand and change up the meta completely, but definitely Peacekeepers paired with SMG is a super fun meta inside of the Crucible. So thank you guys again for watching. Truly appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.